This is Think Out Loud on OPB. I'm Jeff Norcross. We're going to spend some time with an art form that is yet another argument for nations to listen to each other's music, even, or perhaps especially, when their governments are against each other. Filin is a style of music that combines the slow, romantic Cuban style known as bolero with American jazz and blues. It's like Caribbean balladeering combined with intricate harmonies and a yearning for a better life. Vocalist Jesse Marquez will explore the genre in a series of conversations and performances at El Centro Milagro in Portland over the next month, beginning this Saturday. And Jesse Marquez now joins us in the studio. Jesse, welcome to Think Out Loud. It's good to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you for having us.
You are here with your guitarist, Ben Graves, and let's hear a song.
Yeah, we're going to play Realidad y Fantasía. ¿Cuándo podré tenerte en mis brazos, junto a mi pecho, decirte cosas que a nadie que no seas tú quiero decir? Cuando mis labios besen los tuyos, al fin podrán cristalizar las locas fantasías que desatas en mi mente. Todo tú. Yo sé que tú sabrás comprender lo que yo misma no sepa expresar. Cuando te miro y pienso en las cosas que juntos podemos vivir, el mundo entero, el infinito, serán pequeños comparados con la dicha de tenerte entre mis brazos, al fin a mí. Yo sé que tú sabrás comprender lo que yo misma no sepa expresar. Cuando te miro y pienso en las cosas que juntos podemos vivir, el mundo entero, el infinito, serán pequeños comparados con la dicha de tenerte entre mis brazos. Al fin de mí, al fin de mí, al fin de mí, al fin.
That's a song called Realidad y Fantasia. Jessie Marquez is the vocalist, and she specializes in a form of Cuban-American music called filin, and she's here with her guitarist, Ben Graves. Jessie, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is filin music? I think feeling is kind of at the center of it.
It is. It's feeling music,
Yeah.
and it's in Cuba they spell it F-I-L-I-N, which is the way it sounds in Spanish, or how it's spelled in Spanish. And feeling music comes from it was originally the Cuban bolero, which came about in the late 1800s in the eastern provinces of Cuba, with like the troubadours with the guitars, and then in the 40s and 50s, people in Cuba were listening to a lot of cinema music, and they were listening to a lot of jazz and blues. And so they took those sounds, they took those harmonies, and they created something new, a new genre, and they called it feeling. And it was such it was such an important kind of moment musically in Cuba that they actually called it the movimiento de feeling, the feeling movement. And it's a very, I like to think of it as a conversation between people, between musical styles. This kind of inhabits this place somewhere in between traditional Cuban music and American or North American music, and in that way it speaks to me personally.
Why? Why? How were you exposed to it, and why did it speak to you?
Well, my father grew up in Cuba. He was about 13 when the revolution happened, and his family, they were immigrants to Cuba. My grandfather was Spanish and my grandmother was Italian, but Spanish-speaking Italian. And so they were there raising their family. They were, middle class. They had a small business, and so the revolution was coming, and when it happened in 1959 on New Year's Eve, it was very exciting time, and the barbudos, the revolutionaries,
the Castros,
exactly, came to the neighborhood where they were living because there were some military installations there, and so they all partied together that first night, and my grandmother ended up, making pots of soup for the barbudos over the coming weeks, and so I grew up hearing these stories about Cuba, and it was all very interesting and exciting, but it wasn't until I actually went to Cuba with my dad in 1996 that it really hit home. Everything looked, of course, very different, kind of exotic, but I recognized the way that people moved. I recognized their gestures and their sense of humor, and so that made a really big impact on me. And so I kept going back to Cuba. I spent 10 years making regular trips, and I ended up collaborating with members of the Afro-Cuban All-Stars. I recorded a CD down there. I, performed in various venues, and during those travels and during those experiences, I became really exposed to feeling music, and heard all these great stories and anecdotes about different artists. And I think for me personally, it speaks to me because it is a genre that is in this in-between place.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I can relate to that. You know, it's not purely Cuban, it's not purely North American, and I feel like I can sort of inhabit that place.
What parts of the North American part of filin music are actually present? What does filin draw from blues and jazz?
Well, the harmony,
Yeah.
definitely, jazz harmony, above all. I think it's speaking the harmonic language.
Yeah. You connected with the notable filin composer Enrique Cardenas.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like?
Well, for a couple years, I performed in the Boleros de Oro festival in Cuba, which is a bolero festival that travels around the whole island, and they send artists from Havana on buses, planes. We go to different provinces, and so I went to Santa Clara, I went to Holguín, I went to Santiago de Cuba. And in each of these places, you perform, you collaborate with local artists and perform with them in theaters or street parties, whatever the venues that happen to be there. And so when I was in Santa Clara, I met Enrique. He accompanied me on a lot of the songs that I did, and played me his own compositions, and I was very moved by them. And the next year I went back to Santa Clara to the festival, and, we spent more time together. I learned more of his songs, and I think I like to sing songs by composers who are, lesser known, who I like to sing songs that I feel like maybe need to be sung or that have not been heard, and to give voice to those songs. And then also just on a practical level, Cuba has been, it's a really hard time to be in Cuba. I mean, it has been for many years. It's, kind of this cyclical thing there was a special period where, the economy just fell apart after the fall of the Soviet Union. Over the past few years, things have just been really deteriorating on the island, and the power grid is just completely unstable, and people are just living under really very dire conditions. And so another part of my motivation is to support musicians there, with resources and technical support. I've sent, computers or, funds or, food, things like that.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in a bit, but I think we should hear another song.
Great.
Do you have something for us?
Yeah, so we're going to play another song. This one is by Enrique Cardenas. It's called Varadero Mulata, and this Varadero is a beautiful, beautiful beach in Cuba with white sand and crystal blue water, and there are lots of hotels with cabarets and women, dancers, rum and cigars, palm trees. Everybody wants to go to Varadero.
Oh, you set quite the scene for me there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the song compares the beach to a beautiful mulata woman, and also to Yemaya, the Orisha or goddess of the sea. En tus caderas viaja el sol, por tu cintura corre el mar, playa antillana llena de amores, morena que invita a soñar, mueves el ritmo de tu son, tu majestuosa inmensidad viene surjando el horizonte como una diosa sin igual. Varadero pretenciosa mulata, boca escarlata, ojos café, azul vestir para tus noches de plata, tienes la magia de placer, varadero de un morrón y palmeras, es la primavera en tu litoral. Bellas mujeres, luna y estrella, para vivir un madrigal. Varadero, varadero. En tus caderas viaja el sol, por tu cintura corre el mar, playa antillana llena de amores, morena que invita a soñar, mueves el ritmo de tu son, tu majestuosa inmensidad viene surcando el horizonte como una diosa sin igual. Varadero pretenciosa mulata, boca escarlata, ojos café, azul vestir para tus noches de plata, tienes la magia de placer. Varadero de un morrón y palmeras, es la primavera en tu litoral. Bellas mujeres, luna y estrella, para vivir un madrigal. Bellas mujeres, luna y estrella, para vivir un madrigal.
You've been listening to Jessie Marquez and guitarist Ben Graves. Jessie is a Portland vocalist, and she performed in our studio. Thank you so much for listening to Think Out Loud on OPB and KLCC. I'm Jeff Norcross. Have a great weekend.
Think Out Loud is supported by Steve and Jan Oliva, the Rose E. Tucker Charitable Trust, Michael, Kristen, Andrew Kern, and Anna Sanford, and the Jackson Foundation.